Why do you think Queen of Katwe is so good at showcasing the joy and dignity of Africa, where other movies kind of insist on keeping it dark?
Well, I'll say that what attracted me to this story was the fact that it is a true story about young girl, a small girl with a big dream. And she lives in a really difficult environment. And with the help of this mentor, he guides her to a platform where she's able to realize her best self. So this is a very intimate story, unlike the more popular stories told on the African continent, that span, they're about wars or political dictators and what have you. Those are much bigger in scope. And here you have this intimacy that lends itself to showing nuance of humanity that exists in this particular case in Katwe, but also continent-wide. This is a view of Africa told with the Africans front and center of their narrative. Whereas in most films where you see Africa or the Africans, it's told from a foreign perspective. And so I think Mira Nair was determined to tell the story from the inside out, and that means that you have layered characters. You have struggle, and the story rests in struggle, but it is also a story about perseverance. It's also a story about vision and the magic of realizing your dream. And that's why Disney is such a great platform for this story. And it's a universal story. We all know people who are born into little and do not think that the world has more to offer them. And you need that one person that plants the seed in your head that says you can be more than the place where you're from to actually realize your full potential.
I've read that you said that one of the many things that drew you to this script is the fact that there's no white savior. Why do you think that that's so frequently inserted into narratives, but also why do you think we're better off without it?
Well, I think it's about who's telling the story. I worked for Mira Nair's film lab, Maisha, in Uganda, and the slogan of that film lab is, if we don't tell our stories, no one else will. And so it's about who is the person, what is the intention and the motivation of the person telling the story. I remember years back reading an article about the director of The Last King, or the writer, I think it may have been the writer of The Last King of Scotland, and he was being asked why he told it from the perspective he did, and his answer was like, that's the perspective that I know, and he cannot write what he doesn't know and stuff like that. So here we have a story with a director who knows this place and respects this place, loves this place, and can really tell the story from the inside out. And so you have this authenticity to it. And I think the conversation can only change when the storytellers themselves are more inclusive, in nature.
I think Harriet experiences this fear of her daughter wanting more than the life they have, and that's, of course, natural.
Sorry?
She experiences this fear of her daughter wanting more than the life they have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's natural if you're living in poverty, but do you think that mothers from all walks of life experience that fear in one way or another, that it's kind of a universal thing?
Well, the poverty mentality that you must make do with the little you're given is rife, and I think it takes. It's always, when you live in poverty, you're living a very reactive life. You're striving to survive rather than to thrive, and there's very little time that you're able to dedicate to actually visualizing a better future for yourself. When you just are trying to figure out what your next meal is, you become very reactive, and it's very understandable. I mean, Harriet, before all this happened, she worked every single day except Christmas Day. That was the only day she had off. So you don't have time to have big dreams and to figure out what you need to do to achieve them. And so I think it is a luxury to be able to have that. But for this mentor to have this game of chess be a metaphor for life, and to introduce it to these children in these dire circumstances, so that the idea of vision can be born in them, is so powerful, because it's truly only through vision that you can really change your circumstances and become more proactive than reactive. But it is a privilege, and one that more people should have access to.
You experienced a challenge in this role in the sense that you're playing a mother of 5, but you're not a mother yourself. What are other specific acting challenges you hope to undertake in your career?
I want to do a comedy. I think that is a challenge I would wish upon myself. It's very vulnerable to be funny. Yeah. And I did it in graduate school, and it terrified me, and I want to do it some more.
What did you play in graduate school? What was the comedy?
Well, I played a clown. And yeah, that was in a show we devised called The Really Big Fat Show.
Do you feel like your career is paving the way for more diversity in Hollywood? It's kind of a big question.
Yes, it is, and I don't think any one person does it. I think it's the movement of lots of individuals coming together at one time. It's a convergence of intention, you know, and so I certainly hope that, you know, me being around and working is changing something, shifting something, but I don't think I can claim the power of being able to shift an entire industry.